Hello dear students, let's start a new topic. Electroplating with nickel. This topic from chapter 6 of class 10th in subject chemistry. Let's open your chemistry book and come on the page number 123. Electroplating with nickel. Generally, iron get easily rusted when exposed to air. Then iron gets corroded. So iron article coated with a metal like zinc, tin or nickel that prevent the rusting of the iron. Here we discuss about the electroplating of iron with nickel. So for the electroplating of the iron article, the iron is made up of cathode electrodes. So the article, this is the iron article is to be plated. That articles is made for the purpose of cathode, and anode plate is made of the nickel. So nickels here, anode, nickel plates behave as a anode, and we taken a small solution of the nickel sulfate solution which act as a electrolyte. Now the anode is connected to the positive terminal of the battery and cathode is connected to the negative terminal of the battery, and that anode is made of iron articles, cathode is made of iron and anode is made of the nickels, and taken the nickel sulfate solution as electrolyte. Now when the electricity is passed through the solution or passed through the electrolyte, then nickel sulfate solution get ionized in the solutions. Here the dissociation of the nickel sulfate solution. Nickel sulfate get dissociated into nickel 2 plus ion and sulfate ions. H2O dissociate into H plus and 2H minus ions. The nickel 2 plus ion and H plus ion both migrate towards the cathode, and both sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion migrate towards the anode. Now the reaction at cathode, both the nickel 2 plus ion and H plus ions migrate towards the cathode, but the nickel 2 plus ions get discharged by gaining the 2 electrons from the cathode in preference to the hydrogen ions, and the nickel ions form the atom of nickels, and the atom of nickel deposited at the cathode, that is on the surface of the irons, and coating on the surface of iron by the nickel due to their depositions. Now at reaction at anode, both the sulfate ion and hydroxyl ion migrate towards the anode, but neither they discharge at the anode, because nickel is a active metals, and nickel anodes itself gets ionized, and they lost the 2 electrons and they form the nickel 2 plus ion, and the nickel 2 plus ion goes into the solution and finally towards the cathode, and the 2 electrons goes to the anode electrode. So Nickel anode loses their thickness or loses their electrons, but the cathode electrodes becomes thick. So this is all about the electroplating with nickels. Now the second topic, electroplating with silver. Now in order to get perfect deposit of silver on the articles, on any articles, brass, bronze, it is first to wash that article with hot solution of NaOH, then dilute HCl, and finally wash with the waters. That's why they completely free from the dust and grease. After washing through the water, several times washing through the distilled water, the article gets then dried and made the cathode. The cathode is made of those articles which to be electroplated. So now here we made a cathode. Now here cathode electrodes. This is the clean articles to be electroplated. And the another electrodes, that is anode. Anode is made of the silver metals. And cathode is connected to the negative terminal and anode is connected to the positive terminal of the batteries. And the solutions or electrolytes taken in the electroplating with silver, the solution taken or electrolyte is taken is sodium silver cyanide. So we taken the electrolyte as a solution of sodium silver cyanide for the electroplating with silver. Now when the electricity is passed through the solution or the electrolytes, then sodium silver cyanide get dissociated into their respective ions. Sodium silver cyanides get dissociated into their respective ions, such as sodium plus, silver plus, Cn minus, H2O also dissociated into their respective ion H plus and OH minus ion. Cathodes, which is a clean articles to be electroplated. At the cathodes, the silver, sodium and hydrogens, these three ions migrates towards the cathodes, but only one, the silver ions, get discharged at the cathodes by gaining the 1 electrons from the cathodes in preference to the sodium and hydrogens, because silver placed lower in the position, silver placed lower position in the electrochemical series than the hydrogen and sodium. So silver gets discharged at the cathode by gaining 1 electron from the cathode in preference to the hydrogen and sodium, and that silver gets deposited at the surface of the cathode articles. Now at the anode, now both the Cn minus ion and OH minus ion both migrates towards the anode, but neither can discharge at the anode. Instead, the atom of anode loses electron and pass into the solution as silver ion due to nature of the anodes, because the anode is a more active reactive metals than the other electrodes. So silver metals, which is made up of the anode, itself gets ionized and form the metal ions, silver ions, and lost their electron to the anode, and that silver ions goes into the electrolytes and finally passes to the cathode. So after some times the anodes become thin and cathode particles get electroplated. So this is all about the electroplating with silver.